This week's episode is brought to you by Lumin, putting the cult in workplace culture. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host who is across the pond. It's our resident innie of the pod, DL. How are you, buddy?
I'm looking forward to my trip to the equator.
The highest waterfall in the world.
Yes, and also figuring out what delis are.
Oh, I wonder what is a deli?
I don't know. Innies are so random.
I really cannot wait for my birthday when I can have a watermelon version of my own head.
Yeah, or a balloon.
just
a balloon.
Just a fucking balloon with your own face on it, walking through the corridors.
I just don't know where their knowledge begins and ends, but neither do they.
That's a really good question.
Which is an exciting concept to explore on today's pod.
I love this. Guys, if you can't guess already, we are talking about Severance this week. Severance. We've talked about it sporadically throughout the podcast. By now, you know we fucking love this show.
Severance.
Severance.
You try to accent your way out of the harshness of the word severance.
Severance.
Severance. The more you make it French, the lighter it'll be. It's not like you're putting a chip into your brain. Anyway,
I just look forward to Severance Snape, the version of Harry Potter.
Dude, we haven't talked about that, have we?
Not talked about what precisely? Which part of it?
The casting. Have you not seen that they've cast Severance Snape?
Yes. Controversially, some might say.
Expectedly, others might say, but yes, also controversially.
Controversially.
It is the one character in the book that's actually got a description of his features.
I mean, incredibly deeply described.
Why would you choose him to go woke on? It's he's described as a pale, white,
hook-nosed dude.
Hook-nosed, greasy-haired man, and they've cast a good-looking black guy.
Maybe they're trying to make Lily turn her head. Maybe that's what they're doing.
I just don't know. I'm going to reserve judgment. Well, no, I'm not. I'm judging right now. But
you are so judging right now.
It's just kind of
your outie is incredibly judgmental about the casting for the new Harry Potter TV show.
Well, my innie was too, so I think we're unified in that. We are. How do you say? What is it called? Rejoin.
Oh fuck!
Reintegrated.
You killed me. Reintegrating. I knew there's a word.
We are reintegrated on
that
that topic at least.
Okay, good. So you're sharing memories. Interestingly, we were going to get to this. We're jumping too far ahead of ourselves. I felt like that was a bit of a lost plot line from the second season. I felt like they kind of went hard for it, and then they kind of let it slip away a little bit.
They teed it up like it was going to be the culmination.
Right, yeah, right.
And it didn't really culminate.
I mean, they'll probably come back to it.
No, they definitely will. Yeah, because that was the point. Maybe it was meant to be a tease given the way it ends. Anyway.
Perhaps. Anyway, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. Dude, how are you? How you been? What's been happening?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I can't complain. What did I do this week? Went to a Tottenham game. Saw a tie.
Oh, that's sad.
Which is always the best part of football is when there's no outcome. We love that as Americans.
Not a sports podcast.
We love that. We love when it's just you sit in there and waiting for someone to win the game. And for 70 minutes, it's just... Anyway, there's actually quite a few shots on goal, I should say. And so it was exciting. It was just more like an edge that never got released. And
that's just Tottenham for you. You chose a sinking ship.
To be fair, we played really well for most of the game. It was the first time I could actually say that to a game I went to for Tottenham.
Totally fair. Totally fair. Like that.
Anyway,
so you getting into football now? You getting into soccer?
It's the only sport I really watch, but I don't really have much time for sports now as in my mid-30s.
It's not a lot in the UK though. You can spend whatever time. I remember a time back when I was in London. It was literally so they were doing Monday night football and Friday night football. So if you got the right week, you could watch football literally every day. So you could do Monday night football. Tuesday was Champions League. Wednesday was Champions League. Thursday was Europa League. Friday night football. You could then watch Saturday and Sunday, obviously all day. For a single man in London, it was great. I just spent my time in a pub.
Yeah, I just don't know how these people do it with a real job and a partner. How do you watch?
You just have it on the background.
Pull off watching
you have it in the background.
football for 5 days in a row, dude. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, my boss does it quite well. He does watch quite a bit, so you can do it. But
when you're working hard to get that thrill, you just got to have it on the background.
Yeah, I guess so.
I always just have sports just playing it somewhere or other. We did a fun thing, actually. We, just last night, we went to a Motown gig. So, I don't know, do you like Motown at all, the music?
I mean, not enough to go to a gig, but, like, that's cool. I would, go. I just probably wouldn't search it out.
Well, I grew up with it. Like, my parents buzzed off Motown when I was growing up. Like, it's one of those things where when you're a kid, it's just, like, all around you and you don't really appreciate it. And then, out of nowhere, I was just like, something snapped in my head and I was just like, I am in for this music. And there's this Australian band. Do you know Human Nature? You ever heard of them?
No.
Never heard of them either. Apparently, they're an Australian institution. Who would have guessed? Everyone over here fucking loves them. Okay.
Human
Are
Nature.
they Irish?
Sticky Fingers or Australian? Maybe there's an Irish guy in the band. I don't know.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Anyway, Human Nature, boy band in the late 90s, early 2000s, as in full boy band, were like looked like something out of a Backstreet Boys video. And then around 2005, they just did a hard left into Motown, which, doesn't always work, but it suits them. It's really interesting. They're good. They do like good renditions of Motown stuff. So I had a great time.
It doesn't feel like that's as crazy of a switch as you would think.
When you hear their voices and you realize they're almost like a 4-piece quartet. You know what I mean? Like they nearly have like striped red jackets on and hats. When they sing. So like it makes sense when you know that, but when you think of them as this boy band. But the funniest part is we arrived and the opening act was these brothers called, I don't know, the Tierney Brothers or something dumb. And they rock out and it's a dude with an acoustic guitar and a dude with like an electric keyboard. And Kat was my partner was like, they're two of the band. I was like, oh yeah, that's interesting, cool. They must be doing like a side gig. They were so bad, as in like they were so bad. It was genuinely funny. So I was sitting there the whole time. I was like, if this is two of the band, this is gonna be fucking terrible. You know what I mean?
Why were they so
bad? This is gonna be so bad. It was just a concoction of shitness. So like they both had two high pitched voices. One of them had like a keyboard, and he had some like backing tracks that he'd like clearly built into it. So halfway through their first song, he pressed play, and the whole thing just like blew up in his face. So the whole thing didn't work. But they couldn't improvise. They couldn't do anything on the fly. They just had their set list of songs that they had to play in that order. So they were like, we're just gonna try again. So they tried the first song again, which by the way, they finished a cappella the first time. Didn't work again, so they finished it a cappella again. Sang a different song after that a cappella, and then the technician guy got their stuff to work, so they just went back to the beginning and sang the first song for a third time. I was like, "What are you guys?
Sounds like
doing?
A YMCA, dude."
It's so bad. and then halfway through the gig, the other song they played again as well. So like, I was like, by the halfway stage, I was saying to my partner, I was like, "Are they just gonna play those same two songs over and over again?" Man, it was bad. But the Motown bit was great. I love Motown. Highly recommend if you ever get the chance. Apparently they've got a residency in Las Vegas. So they go out there once a month to do the residency playing out there.
That makes sense. I mean, like they're of that era that like would be peak residency in Vegas.
Early 2000s, Motown, you think?
Yeah, they're all, I mean, like think about like Celine Dion was like, I mean, she's massive, but like
Britney,
Titanic.
Madonna.
Yeah, like all of them are like that's like
Tom Jones.
Late 90s, early 2000s. Like that's what even Blink had like a fucking thing at the Hard Rock at some point, I think. Not like a residency, but they were going there a lot.
Yeah, right, okay.
So
I mean, I would happily go to the Hard Rock to see Blink 182. 100%.
It's kind of like from a different era. Like the Hard Rock Cafe, B Blink 182, C them together in Vegas. It's like that feels like a 90s movie. Like,
doesn't it?
Or sorry, an early 2000s
just
movie. Yeah.
We were talking about American Pie literally today, and there's certain songs that just bring me back to that time. All probably from that or the second one, Bandcamp. I bloody loved those films.
Yeah. I never saw Bandcamp.
Not sure how they I don't think the second
Bandcamp's
one
like the third one.
Didn't they do like a bunch of like straight to TV or
they did
DVD,
a wedding
like
they
movies?
did two that were like still in theaters and I didn't see either of those, and then they did a bunch of ones that were straight to DVD.
Yeah, right. I've seen them all. I like them unironically for the time, but I don't know how well they've aged at this point.
I mean, probably like they're probably those those movies that like you want to go watch now because they are just not politically correct and quite funny.
True. We've talked about this on the pod before, I'm pretty sure. But like, were there any other movies at that time that you were super into? Like, I remember Road Trip was massive, old school.
Yeah, all the same as you. I mean, you know, Pineapple Express. I mean, that's a bit later, but all those movies are awesome. Superbad is just all time.
Was it? Do you remember Euro Trip? Did you ever see that film with the class Matt Damon cameo?
Yeah, Euro Trip. Oh, sorry, Road Trip was actually the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of Euro Trip when you said Road Trip.
No, I was as well. Funnily enough, yeah.
They're just like
Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know. Don't tell Scotty.
Yeah, that's so good. They go to Eastern Europe and they're like, we only have a dime, and then they just like live like kings. It's like it's not that bad, bro. I guess maybe back then it might have been because the wall had just like fallen, but
yeah. No, not in the early 2000s. Come on. I like.
I mean, like not a dime.
Yeah, exactly.
It was definitely cheaper then than it is now, but like not as bad as they made it.
I mean, they're hitting all them stereotypes. I really like the bit that was, they're on the train with the horny Italian guy, and he's like, Miss Scusi. Like, every time they go for it.
I like that one way more than Road Trip, actually.
I think Road Trip got a bit overdone. I feel like I watched it too many times, and then Euro Trip came out, and I was like, this is fresh. This is new. My 13-year-old brain loves this.
More cultures.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
I think like any show or movie that like integrates American culture well without like and going into European cultures without being like too stereotypical while also having some of the stereotypes. Like it's a fine balance because you got to attract both audiences. Like there was another one called the Beer Olympics or something.
Okay.
What was it called? Beer something. And it's just like a bunch of like different college games that like become like an international beer competition, like beer pong, beer drinking games with all the different nations. And it's funny, but it's a little bit too on the nose. Whereas like Euro Trip is like perfect, I think.
Primo.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Road Trip had a few bits. Like it was the best bits when they went to that black college and they pretend to put like a KKK hood in one of their bags. And they're like, what is this cracker? That's so good. And then he sleeps with the giant Rhonda girl. I remember these movies way too well. What are we talking about here? What are we doing? We're getting way off topic.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Guys, if you like what you're hearing, feel free to stick around. If you want to skip to the main topic or to what we've been up to, feel free. There will be time codes, that's a new word, in the description, as always, supplied by friend of the show and editing master, Mr. Matthew Bliss of mbpod.com. While you're down there, why not think about giving us a 5-star review or any review? Dre would give us a 1-star review if he had the opportunity, but I would say 5 because I'm a shill. I'm a big corporate shill and I want your love. But it would really help us with algorithms, things we don't really understand. You stole someone's phone and gave him 5 stars this week, didn't you, DL?
Yeah, definitely. Always. On the tube. I just try and steal it. And they think, they think I'm like stealing for real, but I'm like, no, I'm just giving a 5-star review real quick. Sorry. I'm not one of those guys.
Just really quickly. Don't worry about it.
I'll give it back. I'll give it back. Oh, you're getting off. Oh, sorry. Bye.
Don't fight me, please. I'm sorry. Yeah. We. If you want to, don't do that. That's a bad idea. But like, I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, I'm getting a new phone. Do you think it'll be like a new review I can leave?
Oh, that's
probably
a good
not.
idea. Who knows?
It's probably tied to my identity.
That's sad, but we would ask you, dear listener, to please do it. So Dre's new identity can give us one too. DL, what media have you been consuming? Like the little capitalist bitch you are.
To be fair, I got like halfway through an episode of Adolescence, which everyone's been talking about.
Oh my God, I haven't seen it yet.
It was depressing.
Yeah.
I didn't really want that. Like we just got sun in London and this is like back in the UK in like depressed full gray mode. And I was like, this is not the vibe I'm looking for right now. Yeah. Also, I don't know if I like the whole one shot thing. Do you know about this? Oh,
interesting. Yeah.
So it's like every episode is shot as like a one shot.
Yep.
Which is like an impressive like feat, I guess. Yeah. I'm not like denying that. But I think I don't know what it adds sometimes. Like sometimes it's cool, which is why like sometimes one shots are cool. But like when it's like a whole episode, I'm kind of like, I notice it in a way that like takes me out of the viewing experience where I'm like,
interesting.
Kind of this is just distracting. It's not really adding things at times. I'm going to keep watching.
Sure it's got like an incredible IMDb score at the moment.
No, yeah, it does. I'm going to keep watching because it's like, it's called Adolescence.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm going to keep watching because apparently it's like, it's getting a lot of good reviews all over. So like
99% of Rotten Tomatoes.
I will finish it. But it wasn't.
We will get there at some point.
Yesterday.
You know when you need to be in a mood for a TV show? that is that's like the pinnacle of those shows. Like I need to be in the mood to watch that.
The Bear as well. Like it just wasn't a Friday night kind of thing. I still haven't finished The Bear.
Tell me about it. We haven't finished The Bear either. We keep opening it as if we're going to watch it and then being like, oh, it's so intense.
But the thing I noticed is like once you get through an episode with The Bear, because they're shorter, you're down to watch another one. You just need to get through one. But these are like 45-minute one-shot episodes, and I'm like, this feels hard.
I feel like you just need a day where you're in the mood, and you'll sit down, you'll watch like one or two, and you'll be like, okay, I'm done. I'm in. I'm going to finish this.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. I also have, classic me. The Witcher 3 is the game I'll never beat.
Are you still playing that fucking thing?
It's like 10 games, bro. If you count all the expansions. It's a lot. So I'm like halfway through the first expansion, which apparently is like the two expansions are apparently like better than the game. So I'm like, I've really wanted to play them.
Wait, so you finished the main quest?
I have finished the main quest once. There's like 10 different endings. So you could theoretically go redo the main quest if you wanted to.
Nah, seems like a lot.
At this juncture, I'll wait for the remake.
Yeah.
Because they seem to be remaking everything. Although this game still holds up. The point I'm trying to make though is I'm back on that train. Only because I tried to buy Alan Wake 2 and I just like my online identity was in Australia, so they wouldn't let me use my UK card for the Sony store. So I just had to buy the physical copy, so I was delayed. But then I was like, I kind of want to play a video game right now because I was in that mood. So I just went to the tried and true, and I'm back
on
whatever it is, a Nilfgaard or whatever.
What's this horse called?
Kind of Chestnut or something. Roach.
Whatever. Roach. That's it. You're back on Roach. That's all that matters.
I'm riding Roach. Riding him hard. It is really fun. There's this quest right now where I'm like, the quests in this game are just so fun. They're just like so different.
Yeah, right.
So it is one of my favorite franchises, even though I've only played 2 of the games. But the 2 and 1 that's like 5. The quest I'm on right now, he swapped bodies with this ghost in order to break this like covenant where the guy, he's like, the only way to break it, the ghost thinks like, you have to give me life again for like 24 hours. So I need to like possess you and be you.
Real world 24 hours? No, in that game?
Yeah. Well, like in that game. And so like throughout the course of the mission, you're like in and out of your playing yourself. You play it as the character the whole time, but like sometimes you're actually the ghost and you get to like be the ghost, but it's like in Geralt's body. And you go to this wedding where you have like this chick you've been on and again, off again, like never really hooked up with over the years, kind of set up.
Which one?
It's a new one. That you wouldn't actually know from the show. But like they apparently have a backstory that you hear about. I digress. But the point is, he's taking her as a date to this wedding because he's already agreed to it. But now it's like actually this other guy who's embodying Geralt for half the time. And like, so like she's always wanted to get with Geralt and this guy wants to fuck her. So he keeps like pushing to like these, and then like Geralt comes out, he's like, I'm sorry, but she's kind of digging it. So it's like just it's actually like a really good like premise for a little plot. Weird. And you go through this whole night, like each activity, the hours go by, and then I'm halfway through. It's like it's just really good quest, man. I just nerded out for a second, but anyone that likes that kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I've been can't into video games recently and can't find one I bloody like. I'm struggling with everything. I'm stuck on Soulsborne games right now. I just need. Yeah,
you're in a rut. You're in a Soulsborne rut. I'm in a Witcher rut.
No, you are in a Witcher rut, but you can't buy a new game, so it doesn't matter.
I bought it online. So it's gonna get here. I don't know, Monday or something.
And back to the point, do you recommend either of those things, Adolescence or the Witcher?
Look, I can't say I recommend Adolescence yet because I haven't been through it, but like, I mean, like it's clearly done with like intent. You can tell like they've put a lot of time in it. Everyone else recommends it, so like, sure, go check it out. Witcher 3, of course, I recommend. I've always recommended.
I just can't get past the first third of the game. A normal game. I've tried like 4 times, and every time I come back to it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just pick up where I left off, and I'm like, I have no idea how to play this, so I have to start again to remind myself. And then I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Then I get a quarter of the way through, and I'm like, okay, I can put this down for 15 minutes, and then I never go back to it every time.
That's literally what happened to me. Like this boar almost killed me because I forgot how to fight. I was like, this is a level 10 boar.
Level 150.
Why can't I slay this guy? And it's like because I forgot what buttons were like sword swing.
Brilliant. You love that. I've been up to a couple of fun things this week. I'm going to bring back one of my famous segments, which is shows I've peripherally watched with my partner. You love those shows. You love it when I talk about things that I've sort of semi-paid attention to.
It's a bunch of reality junkets for me.
No, it's not. This week, it's something that I think you'll be interested in. So, the partner this week finished White Lotus.
Oh, you can't talk about it too much though, because I have no spoilers.
Yeah, okay, I'm not going to spoil it. I won't. I didn't watch it enough to spoil it, but I will say we've talked about White Lotus before. It's one of those shows that everybody freaking loves, and I just did not get on board with. I don't know why. I just couldn't. I didn't.
Which season? Did you watch the second season or just the first?
No. I watched. You know, the problem was I watched the first season with her. Watched it. Didn't like it at all. So I didn't really get into the second season, and this one. I actually preferred this one a little bit. Again, it's one of these, murder mystery types. You don't need to know too much about it. There's a couple of good characters. Walton Goggins is in it, who you know as the Ghoul from Fallout, which is great. He's awesome in it, actually. He's really good. There's some really good character actors in this show, and I think it worked a lot better for me, this juxtaposition between, these disgusting, privileged people in luxurious resorts. That's not a word. Resorts. Exploring their lives, interactions, but against this backdrop of people who are actually having hard lives and, basically living in poverty while they're in luxury. I think that part of it's really interesting and really cool. I wish they would do more with that. But as a show, watching The Periphery, it's enjoyable. I like everyone in it. Everyone in it was pretty good. I got really pissed off with the girl from Manchester because she made me feel it was too close to home. So you'll watch it and you'll be like, that girl, I could see why she would annoy Tommy. She was like, she's very frustrating. But yeah, it's compelling. Everyone.
That's kind of the way they've done every season. I think the second season is more of that than the first. But every season is like the tale of two socioeconomic groups, or at least two, sometimes more.
I agree. I think in the second season there was kind of less, just because they were in Italy and they certainly played it off.
You're watching the
yeah, agreed.
It's more just like the socioeconomic bracket is like hookers. You're basically watching the lifestyle of poor, young, no job opportunity unless in that little town in Italy. Other than that, theoretically, to make that kind of money, what is their life like? I really like it as a premise for building cool stories that explore what our society's like in a way that's not trying to say anything. It's just this is it. What do you think? Yeah. And it's I find it a very cool social experiment. Yeah.
Give it a go.
It's on my list.
I personally wouldn't go out to watch it, but I got more enjoyment out of this season than I did the last one. So good, get on it. The other thing we watched was actually a movie. We watched a movie, DL. Do you ever watch movies?
We did watch a movie recently. I forget which one.
You had a blank face. You were like,
well, we've been watching Severance to catch up for this, to be honest. But no, yeah. What movie did you watch?
We watched a movie called Blink Twice. Did you heard of this?
Sounds familiar, but no. Give me the premise.
I think it's a Netflix film. It's like a streaming service film, but it was directed and screenplay written by Zoe Kravitz. Had a pretty good cast. Naomi Ackie, Channing Tatum, Christian Slater was in there. The basic premise is a tech billionaire meets a cocktail waitress at a fundraising gala and invites her to join him and his friends on a dream vacation island. But things get creepy. And my God, they get creepy. And yeah, they've got to fight their way out to make it out alive. It's good. It's interesting. A little on the nose, some of the tones and/or themes. I think you might personally watch and be a bit like, yeah, that's a bit on the nose, but kind of liked it. Thriller, horror-esque moments, does them pretty well. There's fucking with people's memories and stuff. It's good. It's interesting.
Nice.
Channing Tatum's playing an interesting character. Yeah.
The premise is interesting. What is the billionaire is the one that creates is he also trying to escape?
No.
He's the one that sets up the fucking weird thing.
Yeah. So it's like,
if you spoil it, then never mind.
How to explain without spoiling it? Look, a bunch of girls who don't know this tech billionaire and all of his friends, know nothing about them really, go to an island with them. What could possibly go wrong with a billionaire? You know what I mean?
The implications.
Right. Me and the partner were talking about this just earlier today. I feel like when you get to billionaire status, your wants and needs and things you think about change. Something flips in your head and you have so much money that you can just keep buying and buying and buying. So what gives you a kick? And does anything give you a kick anymore? Who knows? Watch the film and see the things that he gets a kick out of, because it gets a bit creepy.
Nice.
You gonna watch it?
Probably not. There's just so many like things. I was just thinking like the amount of things I have on my list, like Netflix movies just don't make the cut unless they're really, really heralded.
It's well made. It's well made, and it's got a very good cast. So if they mean,
I gotta watch White Lotus. I've got to watch The Penguin because I rewatched The Batman, and that's the natural next thing for me. I got to watch. I don't know if I have to watch, but I want to watch the Yellow Jackets. I've heard mixed things.
Yeah, we've watched a couple of episodes of it. It's not living up to the previous series to this point.
Stumbled in the end last time anyway.
I was exactly that. I feel like it set us up to fail after that last season, which is a bit of a shame. But guys, if there's anything you recommend we watch, anything we should be talking about in What Have We Been Up To, or this week renamed What Media Have You Been Consuming Like a Little Capitalist Bitch You Are, feel free to hit us up. You can find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Send us memes, send us news, send us your reviews of the things we talk about. We like to hear what you say. Dia, would you like to preface our main topic this week?
It's the main topic theme.
Yeah, this week we are doing Severance. We'll talk about it all. We're going to try not to spoil things until the end. I'm just trying to... Is it Dan Erickson? Yes, the creator, Dan Erickson, actually thought this thing up when he was working at a door store. A door manufacturing store. He was in such boredom with his office job. Like, it just goes to show the muse is something that just, if you're lucky, it comes to you. It's not really...
Right.
You got to put yourself in the headspace. And he was very much there.
They often say that the times when your brain is checked out because you're doing something really monotonous and boring are the times you come up with the best ideas and the most creative ideas.
Yeah. And what a cast. I mean, Britt Lauer, minus the recent haircut, which I'm now pulling up as I look at the IMDb. Tough haircut.
I haven't seen it. What's the new haircut?
Pull it up.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I'd never heard of her. Great in this. You got Adam Scott, clearly a great actor, and I think he's found probably his pinnacle role he'll be known for me at least so far. You got Tremel Tillman, who I again hadn't heard, but is just slaying it in this role. Harmony Cobell is Patricia Arquette.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. There's so many like character, like, Irving Bailiff, which is John Turturro.
So many really good character actors in this.
Christopher Walken. You got greats like those two. Christopher Walken, amazing, and John Turturro. And then a bunch of new people.
What about honestly Michael Chernus as Rick and Hale? What a fantastic choice he was.
Even the small characters have like a pretty big history of acting and are just like they steal the show in every moment they're in. Most of the moments. And then, frankly, you've got Dishin Lockman playing Gemma Scott, who is just like so stunningly beautiful. I'm like, why is she not in more things? That's just I
mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Mark S's Mark in general, S and Scout's roster is pretty full on. But before we talk about that, do you have a stupid plot summary for this?
I do. It's not gonna be a pick me up this morning because this show really isn't about happy endings, if we're honest. A sci-fi interpretation.
I don't know. Mark had a couple.
Depends on how you think about it.
Depends
on whose perspective. A sci-fi interpretation of life for the shrinking middle class.
Oh, oof! Wow, that's right on the nose. That hurts. Why'd you have to say something so true but so mean, DL?
It is what it is.
I actually have two this week. Mine are pretty similar. I'm going to go with my favorite one, which is just Severance, because therapy is expensive and wiping out half your brain is covered by corporate.
Yikes.
Simple. This has been renewed for season 3, hence why. Well, I mean, I think we'd be we want to talk about it for a while. Let's be perfectly honest. I think it's a great excuse to come and talk about this. I think my favorite thing about the show is that there is so much mystery and so many fan theories that are just almost unanswerable questions at this point. That it just the show itself is just a concoction of just almost sitting there going, "What? This is great." So I'm excited to talk to you about it.
It's really meticulously thought out in how it's both like executed, the shots, the tone, the language, the like visuals, all of it.
Well, do you want to talk about the premise of the show then?
Yeah, we've talked about it before, but at a high level, it's the idea that like there's this job called the there's this procedure called being severed, and there's certain jobs in this large corporation that have patented this procedure that can only be done if you're severed. And what being severed means is you basically sever your consciousness into two, such that when you go down to the severed floor to go into work, you actually don't, you turn off and you go into another consciousness. Your innie and your outie is the other one. They've severed your consciousness so that you only remember the stuff that happens as an outie, and the innie is, it's almost its own person, its own consciousness that remembers everything that happens when you go down that elevator onto the severed floor to do your work. So you basically, it's kind of a good deal in the sense for the innie, like you just like get paid and like you never feel like you're going to work, because every time you go in that elevator, sorry, the outie, I was gonna say mistake. It's kind of a good deal for the outie, because you go to you basically get paid to do work and you never feel like you're at work. It's almost like you just went to sleep and you woke up and you skipped work all entirely.
Yeah, get drunk and then you go into work hungover. And he has to deal with it.
It's quite the opposite for the old outie or the old innie, where they're just living at work all the time. It's, you know what it is? It's interesting. I just made the connection now. Kind of feels like the Substance pulled a bit of this, like a bit of their concept from this show was inspired by. I wonder if anyone's talked about that, but that's the premise. And we don't, and then, behind it all, there's this mysterious corporation called Lumin, who invented this procedure, who's really weird and feels like they're up to no good. And that's kind of the world we're set in, where our main character did the severance procedure to really kind of basically just deal with or box or kind of not deal with the grief of losing his wife.
I love the setup of the show. Like, top level, you're thrown in with a character who is your POV character, who's Helly. You essentially, right, the premise of the initial parts of the show is you follow this set of innies, Mark, Dylan, Irving, and Helly, who are working on a mysterious project for a mysterious company. What could possibly go wrong after they have this horrible procedure done to them? It's it's like it's such an interesting premise. Like, if macro level, Macrodata Refinement level, macro level, mid-level, all the way down to like those micronutrients. It's just amazing. I love, like, all of it's just tiered beautifully.
And it's just like the visuals, right? And the tone of it when you're like in the severed floor, it's just like, fluorescent lighting, like true corporate office, like embodiment. And the job they're doing,
phenomenal world.
Yeah, the job they're doing is like super abstract. Like, they're just like putting numbers into different buckets based off feelings that they see on the screen. So it's just like literally the worst job ever, but it's also like weirdly sci-fi heady, like philosophical. It's not like they're like crunching Excels. They're like pulling floating numbers and putting them into boxes based off the way they feel when they see the numbers. So it's super heady. And then you go out to this like outside world, which is like
gray and dark,
cold, dark. It's like the Midwest or like deep Yorkshire in winter without nature. Where it's like always winter there. It feels like it's the Midwest is where they're trying to put like, and you've got this community that like you increasingly see is like determined and dominated by the corporate HQ that is in it. What do they call
it's an HR?
What do they call
it? Built by HR.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the city's called, actually.
They say they have a name for it.
I do like the idea of work as just like an endless corridor just full of bureaucracy, which literally is what this show is. Like, it doesn't matter where you go or where you turn, there is another room with another bureaucratic thing in it. But the world, like, I like you talking about the world they've built, because the world is super detailed, and what you've been thrown into is this almost cult-like universe where Lumin is effectively at the behest of its founders and the current board, and nobody knows what they do or why they're doing it, which kind of sounds shady as hell, which is what the whole show is.
Yeah, it's like, and it's also odd because they're clearly leaning in on the like corporate vibe of like, this is a big powerful company that isn't publicly traded. It's operated by privately in the shadows, and like they do all sorts of things. They're like a GE, like they're a conglomerate. They do a bazillion things. They have like hundreds of thousands of offices. So it's like, no one could really pinpoint, like, this little side project is so small in comparison to everything else they're doing that like no one would really know what they, are doing or look at it unless something came out. And then, but it's also this like, the culture of this company is super odd as well, where it's like definitely just in a distinctly different timeline than the one we operate in. It's not like a Google. Like, this is like clearly a 90s company in an alternate history where like there's analog technology. It's not like direct one for one to our worlds, which is also kind of cool because you're like kept on edge of like, hey, what's going on here?
Super intentional, yeah.
Super intentional. For sure.
The fact that so the characters who are severed, you don't really get a measure on, you know, what they know and what they don't know about the outside world, where their memory stops, where it starts. They're very eloquent, so they clearly remember language, but they don't remember things like places or people. All that stuff from
that's
the outside
part of what
world
they're
doesn't
investigating.
come
I think
with
the themes, like
100%
you're not supposed to know
part
exactly
of
what
this
they
is.
can know. Yeah,
precisely. But I think that adds to all of what you're saying about the world they're building. Like, you just don't know, so it's really awesome. I think the thing that I find most fascinating about this is that it's brought up so many fan theories. People just love this show. I think we should save fan theories to the end, though. Do you want to save them for after we've done a bit of spoilers? I like that idea.
I feel like at least half of this show should be talking about that. So whenever we get bored, because it's just like, that's kind of the point of this show, especially after the season 2 just kind of ended, I don't know, 4 weeks ago or whatever. So I say we like run through what we want to talk about and get straight, you know, as quickly as we can get into
let's do it.
Hey, what does it all mean? Because it's very interesting.
Well, we're mostly focusing on season 1 here, and I think season 2 here, and the ending of season 1 was phenomenal. And the fact we had to wait 3 years for it. The thing that really gets me about the show is that a lot of shows come and go, and a lot of shows can, you know, end on a cliffhanger, and you're not, you know, you want to see what happens, but you're not like madly invested in it. This waited 3 years because of the writer strikes, because of little bits of COVID lingering and stuff like that. And there wasn't a single time in that 3 years that I wasn't just like, I can't wait to get back into the show. Like, I don't care how long you take, just get it right. And I think that embodies all I feel about this show.
Yeah. Well, they also it was like the gnarliest cliffhanger ever. Oh, and to be honest, they fucking did it again. So sorry. Maybe we should strike the record there. That's not really a spoiler, but it is.
Season 1 effectively, you know, it follows the team as they're understanding a bit more about themselves and starting to explore, you know, their nature a bit. You know, Helly, who's brought into this team, who are very subservient and docile. She's got this rebelliousness to her, which is, you know, really vibrant and really like changes the nature of how the team think and how Mark thinks. Mark being the kind of key character. Like you say, they're working on this project which is super secretive, called Cold Harbor. I still don't really understand what Cold Harbor is. I'm not going to lie to you, even though we've had a few reveals in the second season. But the end of season 1 is they are trying to find a way to get out to the real world, get their innies out. And yeah, they effectively achieve that for a very small amount of time. You know, the team are all going about their day-to-day lives effectively. And fuck, why do I always forget the fourth one's name? Why do I always forget that? Dylan does whatever this procedure is they can do to give themselves allow their innies to be out for a little while, and they all find out a little bit about themselves. Mark S believes his outie's wife is still alive. They get this moment, and sort of season 2 picks up directly from there. And I think what really works for me in all of the show is, you know, the atmosphere that they've built for this. And tell me what you think, because it's this like intense creepiness, but mixed with like this cutesiness of like, because they're effectively like they seem to me, they feel like they're almost like kids, and it's a really unsettling feeling all the way through.
Yeah, there's definitely like childness stuff, like childlike qualities, just because they seem to have an understanding of concepts but no lived experience.
Isn't that
I
weird?
guess the way I would put it. So like they know like what bridges are, but they've never walked on a bridge. So it's like their context to what a bridge means through experiential life, like through an actual experience, is like limited. So it's like, what is wind? Is it nice? Like I know that it's like, but what does it feel like?
It's so weird. They've never
like
felt
things
wind.
Like that kind of stuff. But yeah, are we doing spoilers for season 1?
Yeah.
Okay, so spoilers for season 1. It's not even that like that Mark knows or thinks that his wife is still alive. It's like he met someone in his limited exposure on the Severance floor, which is like, you know, 10 people total max, is this woman who's called Miss Casey, who does like therapy for them. It's like their one, like, you know, perk of being like, when they really fucked up and stressed, they let her basically read nice words to them.
Your ouchie really likes sports.
Yeah, really backing my concept of that she's just like beautiful and nice to talk to and look at, because they give Miss Casey as a reward for literally slave labor.
Yeah.
And he goes out and they orchestrate this coup eventually to like institute the overtime contingency, which they find out is
That's
like a
what
way,
it's called.
is a way to let their innies become outies, or sorry, their outies become innies when they're not on the severed floor. And they do this to go like try and learn more and basically escape and talk to their outies about how bad it is. And in doing so, Mark actually sees a picture of his outie. His innie sees a picture of his outie at his house with his wife, who's supposed to be dead, and lets slip to the sister, who we haven't even talked about. Great actress, honestly, another good character in this show.
We're going to come back.
She's alive, and ends the season with that. So we're starting the season with an investigation of what did Mark's innie mean. Yeah. And is his is his wife, his deceased wife, actually still alive? And what is Lumin up to with all this cloning, consciousness bending stuff? Because if she is alive, like, why would they be doing this? And why doesn't she know who she is? And all sorts of, crazy questions.
And I think you're right that the best thing about this is it has these heady, like really deep themes about everything from life and death and what does it mean to be alive, all the way through to, like work-life balance. You know what I mean? It's so weird. Like it I don't know how they do it, but they balance it so beautifully.
It's something that can really only be done with sci-fi, I think, is what or it's hard to do in other genres without coming across as like super like heady and philosophical and annoying. Like you need like this a harsh sci-fi concept like this to be like, you just have to you have to accept that we've done this scientific thing that is this way. Now, what would this actually mean? And it's like there's cool things like, whether it be like Red Rising and like genetic engineering, like what happens if you accept that we will get to a place where people can afford to create genetically engineered humans that are literally physically better in every way than everyone else? Like, what does that do to society? And then what do we explore for what matters in a society that is governed by these rules? Like, I just think that's when sci-fi is like great. It's like when it finds a concept like that and investigates what it does to the human condition. And like, this is what Severance is kind of doing really, really well, but to an extent of like, hey, like a psychological extent where it's like, who am I? They investigate that in a really interesting, like metaphysical way that doesn't come off too preachy. Like they really do balance it well.
And there's so much you can talk about. Like the sets are so meticulously designed. Everything about it is just really beautifully put together. I did want to quickly touch on a few of the characters and the performances in this. You mentioned Milkshake, which I love.
Milkshake.
What an exceptionally weird character. Like like so well acted, so odd, so off the wall. Anyone who can say devour feculence in a sentence and it sticks, I'm down for. I'm 100% here for that.
Quite a language bag.
Yikes.
He's got his
he really
diction
does.
is verbose. His diction
the
is
Matrix
wide
uploaded
and
every word into his into his brain. But that character arc super interesting as well through the show. I think he might be almost like a microcosm of what the innies are feeling as someone who is not severed himself. I think that's really interesting. He's sort of finding his way into does all of this add up to Lumin, really the cult I signed up for.
I find the people that work at on the severed floor that aren't severed or that work at like that's going to be the hardest thing to land for me.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where they go with it.
Yeah.
They obviously have to give us more about Milchik. They're giving him enough of an arc that like we need to learn more about why he's there. What like eventually we're going to get that. And I think that they did that pretty well with Cobell this season. Like I'm on board now with the choices that they've made, that she is how she is and like why she would make the decisions she's made. I'm not there with Milchik. Like awesome Milkshake. Awesome character, phenomenal acting, but like they've got work to do to pay off what they're building, I think, in terms of like his motivations and why he is the way he is.
But like there were so many little moments. Like I absolutely agree. Like I don't think it's there yet, but there's so many little moments.
No, I'm not saying that they can't do it. Yeah, they have done some little things like
Agreed.
you're about to
I just
talk
think
about.
they've followed the same arc that Cobell followed in the first season with him in the second, so I think they'll probably like collide at some point. You know, I think they'll.
Yeah, there's a racial element though they're fucking around with him.
I was,
which
is
exactly
like
I'm excited to see where it goes, and I think it is a place worth going.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the standouts for me is the John Turturro and Christopher Walken, Irving and Bert relationship in season 1, and how that sort of follows through into season 2. Just these questions about love and, you know, the nature of finding someone, and does it transcend life? Does it, you know, a soul's supposed to be together and all this? It's just so fascinating. It's such an interesting exploration.
Yeah, they're making a definite point that one of the things, I think by the end of season 2, you can confidently say this. You could say it after season 1 even, and definitely through season 2, is like, there is something about like, maybe there's not soulmates, but there's definitely something about like soul synergies that transcend like, you know, our lived experience. Like people are more compatible by something in their DNA or in this software based world that we're all, you know, in this matrix based world that we're all living in, which I'm fully convinced we live in a simulation.
I'm with you.
So there's some synergies in the simulation, I guess is my point. You see that with Helly and Mark both in and out of the innie and the outie, because they do have interactions across both spheres. You see it, I think, to a degree with Mark and his wife, innie and outie, and you definitely see it with Bert and Irving, as we call them.
Yeah, I'm a Irving shill. Get those together. I'm 100% with that. It's such an and
Dylan. We always forget about Dylan.
Love Dylan and his progression in season 2. I mean, like, he's almost comedy relief in the first season, which is kind of sad because he's a great character, and he does get his big moment at the end in season 1. Sorry, season
Gretchen!
2. Why
does he scream so high?
It's so weird. I said that as well. Oh, so season 2.
I was like,
I love
sure they do another take
storyline. Yeah, give me one more go. Do a flip. I love it's that guy. That's a similar storyline. You know, like, does love transcend, you know, the boundaries of our current reality and all those types of thoughts and feelings? There are too many things to talk about in this show. It's just so damn freaking good. There's a bit of action in it too, like occasionally, like not a lot.
Definitely in the season finale
here and there. Season finale, it's quite visceral when you get to it, I would say.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it was pent up.
Yeah, I mean, like, they do so much verbal jousting. Like it's like the teasing. It's like getting ready. You know what I mean? It's like the dirty talk. They do so much of the dirty talk. They almost finish immediately.
Yeah, and I think a big part of the build up is just like the clean setting, like the clean visuals as well.
Totally.
So when they let the blood roil, it really is like a jarring visual on like the clean aesthetics of the show.
Yeah, 100%. Super interesting. We're probably getting towards spoileries now. Should we just do a little quick tones and themes, and we can just bust out all the spoilers?
Yeah. And Matt, I think we've done a good job so far of like not needing your editing ability, so maybe you don't need to be spoiled for this poor season 1 and 2.
Questionable, but who knows? Tones and themes?
Yeah, I think it's identity and self clearly. Whether that's like
corporate exploitation.
Yeah, well, the corporate exploitation and dehumanization, identity and self, like what part of you is actually you, and like how do you deal with trauma, and like the person you put out there, is that actually the person you are internally, and when you know, your subconscious and all that good kind of stuff.
Grief's in there too,
and I think free will. Like like
so much.
How like does everybody deserve it? If so, like, how do we deal with, you know, the inequities of the world and that kind of stuff?
Great questions. Let's do quick 3 best and 3 worst then. What are your best about the show?
The acting, I think this like just so good. The writing and the cinematography. They're all 3, like, which is like, I don't know, like how you pick up 3 better best.
There's,
you know,
I had
like, if you have those 3, you've got a fucking great show.
100%. And I think mine almost add to yours. I had the atmosphere, which to me, like I say, it's this weird mix of cutesy versus creepy. I don't know how else to say it. How it tackles emotion. there's so much in this around, Mark trying to, avoid his grief, or Helly trying to, put down the innies, all this stuff. It's just so fascinatingly done. And the last one I had was just the mysteries. The mysteries. I love how they're presented. I love that they're not all entirely worked out yet. Shut up, internet. Leave some things alone. Is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I think that they don't give us enough to actually predict everything, and I think that there's not going to be enough clear answers that it's going to be.
I'm fine with that.
I think they're going to end up being like super metaphysical answers, not as Losty, but not far from Lost. Like, I don't think you're going to get like a clear explanation of exactly the metaphysical point of why the goats exist. You're going to get like a concept.
Totally fine with that.
Totally, and that's it. Yeah. And it's not going to go into the details because like that's the way it should be, because there is no fucking details that can explain what's going on.
Makes it a better conversation. It makes it better to talk about. What are your worsts then? Do you have anything that you would say was not so great about the show?
I do think they sometimes like leave enough out where it's like you need to kind of define the rules a bit, like where it's like it does take me out of it a bit, like why don't, and maybe they will, maybe they're just saying fuck it, we don't care, but like let's be real. These innies would be recorded all the time. And like, why are they able to get away with so much shit? Like if this is such a gnarly floor, like, is that part of what they're trying to do, is to give them some freedom? Like, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they'll explain it later, but it's like, it does kind of feel like Milchek is always getting freaking, one-upped because nobody's watching the CCTV footage.
These four people.
Yeah. And it's like, they were in the first season. And they had that guy who dies. And it's like, surely you just replace that guy? But is it just there's simply not enough people that are willing to compromise their morals to work on the severed floor? Is there, like, I guess, like, I need some kind of explanation for this season's rampant fuckery by the innies that, like, almost is just not monitored at all.
I had similar. I said it can be a bit frustrating at times. And I think I'm along the same lines as you are.
Like, and it just, like, it needs an explanation. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Not. I do think the structure of the season at times was a bit odd. I liked how they did like one innie full episode, one outie full episode. I didn't mind all that, but it's just like the random full Cobell episode, I feel like could have been bled through a few, so it didn't just feel like we were slammed in the face by Cobell right as we were accelerating the plot for reintegration.
True.
I'm sorry, I guess I shouldn't have said that, but we've already talked about reintegration.
I mean, it's a big part of the first season.
Yeah. So that part, like, it just feels choppy at times, but not enough that I would never, like...
At times.
I
mean, yeah, mine are just... it might not be for everyone. Like, I know people who've started this and just can't get into it. Like, it's... At the beginning, it's a tough watch, and I don't know. Like, I just feel like there's
like just because of the procedure. I think that like probably icks people out, but like if they just get through that, like I think they would fucking love it.
I think some of the things that we think make it amazing are some of the things that turn people off, like the setting, the coldness of it, the fact that it's there are so many mysteries, and I've got friends who are just like, nah, turned it off, but I also have friends who hadn't watched it and then watched all of it in a weekend. So
yeah, it's not a mystery box show by the traditional definition because there's more to it than that, but it is a mystery box show. Like it definitely, you can't like not, it's in a Venn diagram where mystery box has a lot of overlap. So if you're not into that, I don't think that doesn't mean you won't like the show. I think there's so much cool shit in it that goes beyond that genre.
Totally.
But
totally. Any last worst?
I don't know. Maybe need a little more Rick in this season. Feel kind of light.
Brilliant. I think mine's just the fact that I really hope there's a plan. Like,
I think there is. I just don't think it's like this grand span plan.
No,
this can't go more than like 3 or 4 seasons. I think.
I would really like it to only be 4 or 5 seasons, like absolute tops. Like,
I honestly think it'd be hard for them to go past 3.
I don't know how they do, but I mean,
dude, they've written themselves into a bit of a hole. I think, like, there's
maybe,
which is like what good writers do, and then they get out of it. Like that's the yeah. But like, I do think like I don't know how it goes another 4. I can't even see how it goes 4.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, let's hold that thought. Can you guess me then the current IMDb score for this?
Gotta be like 8 or something. 8.6.
You went either side of it. It's 8.7. You were so close.
Oh, really?
I don't know how you managed to do that. I was like, you're there. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty epic. Can you guess me the current Rotten Tomatoes score?
90.
Oh, that's 96. You were so close. So close. I love what you're doing there. I couldn't actually weirdly find a letterbox for this, so I went with the Google score, which is out of 5, and it's something point something. Same as letterbox, really. What do you reckon?
4. Just like 4. Just 4.
4.5. 4.5.
Oh, wow. I was closer with my 4.4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't tell if you were saying 4.4 or you just repeating the number 4 at me.
I was repeating the number 4. Yeah.
I guess our classic rating system of is this better or worse than the most average thing we know, which is Aquaman 2018, and why. It's a little bit mute for this one, I'd say.
Yeah, it's clearly better.
Yeah, it's better. There's no need to. We've talked about why it's better. It's thematically excellent. The acting's phenomenal. There are so many mysteries. There are so many plot threads. There's so much. It's so dense for such a wonderful show. Let's talk a little bit about what goes on and then the second season and the end of it then. You were talking a bit about Mark and his outie wife. Do you want to talk a bit about where that goes?
Well, we pretty quickly, I mean, I think it's maybe like a couple episodes. They basically get to the point where Mark, the outie, is convinced enough to pursue this mystery. I think it takes like, I don't know, 3 or 4, right?
I think he goes straight. I think the season starts with him going into the reintegration procedure for that reason, but that storyline slows down a little bit.
Well, it's like by episode 3, because we get an episode of full innie, then we get an episode of full outie, and then we get like the episode where he like confronts it and is like, I'm down to actually investigate. So it's like 3 or 4. Yeah. But by mid-season, you're basically full on, okay, I'm bought in enough, because I think Ragabi, who's like a random character that kind of comes back and then doesn't, comes there and talks him through it, and she's like, yeah, I can confirm she's alive. Like, at least she was when I was last there. And that's the person that reintegrated Mark's friend from the first season.
Tried
PD.
to.
Yeah, well, failed.
This season lacked a bit of PD. I'm not going to lie. I felt he was really strong in that first season.
I feel like a memory of PD wouldn't be bad for like a reintegration, right? Weird, like little flash. Like, why not?
Give me a bit of PD. I can
why not a memory of PD? And so you're basically chasing this storyline of like Mark trying to figure out stuff about his wife, and the innies trying to deal with the repercussions of their breakout for basically the first half of the season, whereby we get more and more revealed in the storyline from like the third person perspective of Lumin that they're working on something, and it's actually while the other innies are doing stuff for it, they're mainly there, it seems, to keep Mark engaged. And Mark is like the main guy that they care about for this project that has something to do with consciousness, where they're reintegrating. They're using his memories and his wife in captivity to basically build some kind of fresh consciousness that applies in some grand way to this really creepy old Lumin guy who is Helly's dad.
He is so weird. He looks plastic. You know when they bring in like the plastic the waxworks of the different founders? He looks like one already.
He's almost too weird to the point where I'm like, how is this guy running a company? And like, it makes me like, maybe he's like meant to be this weird because he's like degenerating. And like, he's already had this consciousness, but it didn't last. And like, we're seeing him like try and like regain it again with a new version or new round 2 where they've tried this before. Like, I don't know. To me, it feels like this isn't just like a guy who's just weird. There's got to be of course he's culty. Of course Lumin's culty, but that doesn't explain the reason why you'd be like, what did he say? Like, just a weird, like, you tricked me. Like, he is childlike in a lot of weird ways. Like, I wish you would eat it whole or like raw, or like just weird,
the egg.
Weird things where I'm like, this is not a
mirror
normal.
To the innies.
Yeah. This is not there's something going on there for sure, in my opinion. But yeah, he's like apparently running it all. It's all for him. It's all for he's like the heir Egan, like the current Egan who. So we get that story and we learn more.
I love that Gemma storyline as you learn more about like her actually being alive.
Pinnacle episode, yeah.
The one of the best episodes in it is literally it's a flashback episode is what it is. It's a bottle episode where they show you the background between, you know, Mark and Gemma meeting each other, and, you know, the meet cute, and then all the way through to them not being able to have a baby and how that affects their relationship. And you talked about this the other day, actually, when we were doing, I can't remember which podcast it was on, but you were talking about how that affects all of their relationships all around them as well, which is super fascinating when they realize they can't have a baby, and then Gemma is quotation marks killed. Then you get the revelation that she's still alive, and she is still alive, and she is in Lumin, and she's being severed in multiple different ways. It's so
she's basically done like 24 severances or something. Like they split her mind into like 24 people. Yeah.
And they're like 25 is the key. You're like, the key to what, guys? Come on. Voldemort said 7.
Yeah, I don't know what they're getting at there. It does seem they're just like dividing her consciousness into different. Let's make a nerdy analogy, but it's like modern applications are built into like microservices. So it's like you have like the payments functionality, you have like the identity. Like, this is just super nerd. I'm in tech. I get it. They're almost like microservicing her mind into different feelings that can be like reassembled into like a new version when abstracted from each other, which is like a new consciousness. And it feels like part of what they need is the relationship between her and her feelings and someone else who is deeply intertwined with that person, which is Mark, and his feelings on those feelings to understand hers. And that's kind of where they're super
interesting,
like what existential story there. But I think that's what they're building. The question I have is we're put into this position where it's like kind of assumed she was like, everyone's assuming she was like kidnapped by Lumin. Yeah. And that just doesn't feel like where we're going with this. It feels like she opted in and then they abused her opt-in. Yeah.
I feel like, it feels like she... so the key point of that is that she can't have a baby with Mark, which is what they want. Yeah. It almost sounds like she was promised that they could help her have a baby if she did go in, and she's kept there effectively. Right, it's effectively kept there against her will, in quotation marks. Really, she signed up to do this, but she didn't know
what she was signing up for.
Right. Yeah. I don't think any of them really do. Like, like the whole understanding of what an innie is and stuff is totally vapid to the outside.
Lumin has clearly abused what she said she would do. And so it's like, how much have they abused it? That's, I guess, the question, if we believe that she opted in.
Yeah. What is it like Mickey 17? Did she sign up to die every week?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, the series then essentially culminates with... before it culminates, there's this phenomenal episode where you see Mark's innie having a conversation with his out. You know, they are two consciousnesses in the same body, which they literally can't have a conversation. So they get I don't know why it's an old piece of fucking video tech, but like they get this old video
this world that they're in.
It is like this world, which
super analog,
but then they have iPhones. It's nonsense. But so like he is in this house where birthing house from the first season, and he can go in and out when he steps outside is his outie, and when he's inside is his innie. And he records himself to have a conversation with himself. And it's this really wild conversation about, like, if I do this, are you just going to... Cause effectively, the point is, if an outie doesn't take their innie back to work, they're dead. They're gone. And it's like, if I do this for you, am I dead? Like, are you going to reintegrate me and I'm 0% of your consciousness? It's a really, really well done episode.
Yeah, it is. I think one of my highlights also is the fact, like... There's all this great foreshadowing of like, this is not going to end well for you, Mark. Like, meaning like, you get your wife, what do? That means you're dead. You don't get your wife, your other side of you is not happy. And because you're in love with Helly, which is that storyline we haven't really touched on, which is like Helena Egan is like one of the innies is the daughter of the core villain, like of the Egans who own Lumin. And her innie is like the quintessential, like, to be honest, it is what her inner consciousness probably feels about her dad. It's a great like point where she's like super anti-Audi, super anti-Egan, super anti-Lumin, super rebellious and non-compliant, where her Audi is like the opposite of all these, or what she holds inside. And Mark and her fall for each other. And so you got this like this love triangle that like is one person, but two people in Mark having his innie and his Audi having feelings about different people. And also you get this like other element to it where Mark and Mrs. What do they call her name? Mrs. Casey clearly have a vibe for each other as well when they're both innies. And then Outie Helly and Outie Mark clearly have a vibe for each other when they both meet in the outer world, like by happenstance.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this thing where it's like, yeah, vibes are vibes across, like love, like connection is connection across both sides. And you're left in this like, will we or won't, like no matter what happens, we lose and we win, which is like the best type of writing when you care about both outcomes and you're kind of emotional about no matter which way it goes. And so,
there's some great fan theories. I can't wait to talk about fan theories. You just mentioned a bunch of stuff,
this
which
is
really
and so
interesting. So
we're this whole season, those relationships are building. Like, you know, the Innie and Mark and Helly have, you know, sex. They fall in love, all this kind of stuff.
Well,
and
first he has sex with Helena. He just doesn't realize.
Yes, that's a whole different story. Like, I don't even know how to unpack that, but like, yeah,
it's too much.
Yeah, there's too much to go into in a single season. But my point is, there's a lot of like, hey, you know, what does it mean for, you know, love? What does it mean for cheating on your wife? When like, even with Dylan, where his wife meets his innie as like a way to keep him in line.
Yeah.
And he kind of like, you know, ends up hooking up with his wife. His wife doesn't tell his outie. Is that cheating? It's the same guy, but it's just their consciousness are split. Like, there's a lot of cool, interesting things they do with the concept of Severance. So it culminates.
It's a really
in
fascinating way to culminate the show, which is effectively Mark's innie has to help his outie by getting his wife Gemma out of Lumin
before they complete this certain file, which ends her consciousness. Apparently,
well, no, they do finish the file, but they use the file ending as their opportunity to go and break her out, which is really interesting. I don't know why they do that. Maybe there are too many eyes on them.
No, I think that I think the concept, like spoilers, but I think there's this like motif. There's this motif of like of a baby cradle, and it's like used throughout the season of memories, and Mark's getting reintegrated about like this frustrating thing where they bought this baby cradle, they couldn't have a kid. She kept having miscarriages. He couldn't build the baby thing at one point. And he like throws it in frustration. She hears it. She can't have a child, so she's frustrated with herself. And like it culminates in this episode where like the pure raw form of Gemma entering this room after being severed 24 times, the 25th time where he completes the 25th file, Cold Harbor. She walks in, and in there is a baby. What do you call it? Why do I keep caught? A cot that's assembled, and it's like clearly symbolic to her biggest trauma, her biggest, and it's like she's told to deconstruct this baby cot. And it's like she's all the way through. And I think the idea is if she had finished that, she wouldn't have been the same. Like it would have, like whatever process they're building would have been complete. And so, yes, he had to.
If she didn't have any feelings,
he had to. Well, I think she had one piece left. So it's kind of like if they had been any later, I think she wouldn't have recognized him, and she might have been gone forever. Is I think the point they're trying to make. So you had this small window where they finish the file, and then they have to do this big jailbreak to get her out because they know enough about where she is by the end of the season. And that's what the real debate with the Mark's innie and outie is. He's like, well, whoa, if I help you, because he needs him in the mid floor to go understand what's happening to get her out, because he goes outie, innie, outie in terms of identity as they go deeper into the Severance floors. Does that mean I'm just gone? What about the person I love? You know, you've had this whole life. Yeah, good for you. I've had 20 minutes and you're the one that created it. Like, it's a really interesting debate and tension build, because we actually end that conversation not knowing what Mark is going to do, the innie Mark.
And and at that point, I don't think innie Mark knows what he's going to do. And I think that's the point. And so the culmination of the show is he gets Gemma out, and the jailbreak's complete, but Mark S makes a decision not to follow her to the outside and stay as an innie with Helly, which is phenomenal and really great writing. And again, you win and you lose at the same time. Like what are you going for there? Like the alarms are blaring, everyone's going to come down, they're going to shut down the 7th floor. So like, what are you winning here? You know what I mean? So like, it's great writing.
Yeah, it's phenomenal writing. And it was actually like, when I thought about it, like I didn't really have time to think about what was going to happen because there was so much happening in the season finale as you're watching it. Even like the build up, like the last season, like episode of the season before, like you don't actually know where it's going to go. Like you didn't know they were going to try and break her out. Like you probably knew, but you weren't sure. So they do it all in one season. So you barely have time to think about it because so much is happening. And when I was like, actually, it's the only way it could have gone. Like if you act like, and I love that Mark doesn't know what he's going to do, but from a writer's perspective, they've written themselves into a hole, but they've also given themselves a couple ways out. And it was like, clearly this is what was going to happen. Like Mark Audi made the I guess my point is it was telegraphed well in a way where I wasn't fully predicting it, but it makes sense now. Mark Audi made like the selfish choice this whole time, and now it's Innie's Mark's time to make a selfish choice, and he's not doing it in a way that is selfish to this poor woman who never got a choice, which is Gemma. He's doing it in a way that's selfish to his Audi, which is like, you don't get to be with your wife.
I think she had a choice.
I guess my point is like she didn't have a choice to stay there. My take is she did not know she was going to be stuck there. Yeah,
she definitely didn't know what she was signing up for. Let's talk about a couple of fan theories because they loop into a bunch of things that we're actually talking about. The first one, which is not involved in any of the things we talk about, is the Rickon is a goat theory. Do you know this? Have you seen this theory?
I mean,
it's so funny.
I've definitely not like I haven't seen it, but I clearly knew that was coming because he's such an absurd human.
Yeah,
he's got a goatee. They've indicated that
like climbing up fucking cliffs and shit.
They've indicated that there's like they've made multiple like comments on like, hey, I've got this there's secret Egans like that. Like there's been multiple hints that like many people may be Egans in this town of Kier or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
He has a goatee. It's like a very subtle.
Loves climbing. Is a bit weird. Yeah.
And he's kind of dumb. Like I think this is a great one where it's like if they never answer it, it's better, and they just keep giving Easter eggs.
Yeah, I like that too.
I also think it's kind of devalues what's her name, Mark's sister.
Well, hold fire. Yeah. Here's another fan theory. Another fan theory is that Mark's sister is actually a Lumin spy, or she's actually bought into Lumin the same way the others are, as Cobell and such, to keep Mark in line.
Tough because it's their chemistry's too real.
Well,
I think that would devalue so much of the acting that's happened, and like unless she had a real good reason for doing that, which I don't.
Sometimes you don't need a good reason. Money's a good reason, or marrying into the Kier family.
That's just like I don't think that's earned, but I think it actually devalues a lot of what's happened. So I hope not. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's another one for you then. Whole point of what Lumin are doing is for whoever the current Egan is to transfer their consciousness into some sort of machine. This kind of tracks, actually. I like this one a little bit. But point is that all the previous Egans have already done this. So the real fan theory is that the board is all the previous Egans who've transferred their consciousness, but they don't tell the next Egan what the process is. So they have to find their own way.
I definitely agree with the concept of whatever they're doing has something to do with the board and like consciousness upload to the board. And like clearly that's part of what they're doing.
Yeah.
The point that never made sense to me in your exact point of this theory is like, if they've done it before, why do they need to do this weird fucking experiment to figure out how to do it? And so to your point, maybe that's like a part, because it is a kind of culty. It's
part
like
of the trial.
Part of the trials of the four fucking tempers is you find a way to make this happen. We've all
precisely.
It is interesting, makes sense,
but
there's something less evil about it and more just like crazy,
banal.
Like there's like the idea that like it kind of takes away the idea of like this evil corporation is doing something to like make a bunch of money, which
we've never seen them been trying to make money though. There's no hint at them trying to make money. We know they're rich, but there's no like it's not about. I don't know. I don't feel there is.
Well, they've like talked about applications of severance for like babies and birth and all like use. They've talked about use cases of making money, but I guess my point is and they keep talking about how it's going to change the world as well. So they need to tie it to that as well. It can't just be that consciousness thing.
I'll do two quick fire ones for you then, as we need to wrap this up. Irving, who we haven't talked about anywhere near enough, who's phenomenal in this, is using his watch to communicate between his innie and his outie. So there's a lot of hints that he's some sort of military background, and the only thing they can take in and out with them is their watch. And I know some forms of semaphore use like numbers or like specific positions. So there's like it would obviously be incredibly slow and over a long period of time, but like there's theories that letter by letter he's communicating with his outie.
That would make sense. I wonder if we'll ever even see Irving again. Kind of feels like it's like if John Turturro wants to come back, like they left it open enough.
I think he's primed to come back and be a big part of the ending of the next season. And
I think that they could. It's just I wonder if they like didn't get a guarantee from him because he's pretty hard. He's a pretty big actor, and they were just like, we need to leave it open.
There's a few big actors in there, though. I mean, they have to close that relationship with Christopher Walken. They have to. He just has to. It's my favorite part of the show.
Well, I guess my point is they left it in a way where it could be closed. They don't need to revisit it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Quick final fan theory then. Not really a fan theory, just an open question to finish this conversation out then is when Mark S releases Gemma and she goes out to the real world, Helena or Helly comes around the corner and she is the reason that Mark S doesn't go out with Gemma. Now, the fan theory is that person who came around the corner is actually the outie Helena, not the innie. Because...
Sorry, repeat that?
As the fan theory is that the person who comes around the corner that stops Mark S leaving with Gemma is actually the outie Helena rather than the innie Helly. Now, the reason that is because Irving said it perfectly. Helly was never cruel. And Helly was quite clear she wanted to help Mark let Gemma escape. So people are thinking that he's actually in there now with outie Helena. I think that's a really good theory. I like that. I think that outie is almost at her breaking point as an outside person and almost would enjoy having the opportunity to just live with them for a while.
I think she didn't make Mark make the choice. I think it's like a holy... I don't hate it. I don't love it. I think it's like it was always going to be Mark's choice. And I feel like it's also totally natural for any Helly to want to have one last look at the only dude she's ever known that she's in love with before he leaves. And she didn't tell him to come. He just saw her and made the choice himself. And I almost like that better. I do think there's something to this Helly's true identity thing that they're playing with, which is like, there could be a twist of like, was Helly always the original? Like, is Helly the outie and Helena is the innie? And where there's like Severance when they were really young, and like there's some indicators that he's like, one of my favorite parts of this scene was that interaction between her and her dad, where she has no idea who he is.
Really,
and it's like, and he's like, "What the?" She's like, "What the fuck?" Like,
you're weird.
We're all like, she's just voicing the fans' exact feelings.
Totally.
And like him being like, I actually never saw anything in any of my spawn or whatever he calls them, other than until I saw you. And I feel like that's a super interesting thread to pull, or it's like whatever they're looking for in their in their kids is like identified in her, which is like a innie. Like there's a couple different ways. I don't think that storyline's done of like who's the real in control.
Yeah, I don't think
Helena
so.
But I don't know if it's like another like, oh, it's actually the innie, not the outie. I don't know if they'll do that again. There's definitely
one of the best moments of the whole show was when innie Helly tried to hang herself. Phenomenal. Yeah. Like obviously not something you like want to talk to, but like phenomenally done. Do you have any final points about Severance before we wrap up?
Just a fun show. If you like a mystery box, you like an emotional,
fun.
It's a fun show. It is fun. It's not like a mystery show. There's clearly like themes and character moments, and it's a show that likes to live in that. It's not just a show that's like, hey, why is there a hatch, aka Lost?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like that.
Turn into a Lost.
So far, I actually think everything they've done, they will probably explain to some degree. Like the goats are kind of explained.
Yeah.
The whole backstory, we didn't talk about Cobell, but her backstory, I think, played
phenomenal.
I think they did a great job. The Gemma stuff plays. The only thing I'm like, dude, how about when he just like shoots the fucking guy in the elevator?
Oh, and they bring back Gwendolyn Christie because she's the only person big enough in the world to fight a guy that big. Love it.
She just like goes to town on his balls.
So good. Out of context, a little weird.
She does. It's like 10 knees to this big hunk of, like, what is this guy's? He's a Danish. He's an Iceland actor. He's fucking crazy.
He's massive,
weird.
that dude.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish then with a little bit of trivia, true or false. You want a bit of trivia, true or false, DL?
You know I do.
All right, let's finish up then. Series backer Ben Stiller, who a lot of people now think actually created the show. He did not create the show, but series backer Ben Stiller,
he's the director
admitted
for most.
He does direct some of the episodes. Yeah, admitted that he isn't actually subscribed to Apple TV, so hasn't seen it in its fullest. he actually had to watch the full series on DVDs that got sent to him. Is that true or is that false?
That's kind of crazy. I mean, he's like edited it, so he's definitely seen it. What an idiot thing. I think false.
It is false. It's actually Christopher Walken, who is not subscribed to Apple TV+.
Yeah.
And he only watched it because he got it sent to him on DVD, which is wild. Okay, true, false TL. Due to a shortage of soundstage space, production designer Jeremy Hindle had to create different areas of the severed floor by rearranging the hallway sets. True, or is that false?
True. Pretty small.
It is true, and they used VFX to actually lengthen them. I really like that. They just fucking move stuff around. Like there's like people who've watched this and analyzed it so much to the point where they're like, that physically can't work. Like, you know, when Mark's doing one of his running down the corridor scenes and he's going like right, left, right. It's like, you physically can't take that many rights.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Final trivia, true or false then. Dickon Lachman, don't know if I've said that right, but I haven't. Ms. Casey also starred in Dollhouse in 2009, another TV series about people who voluntarily lose access to their memories to do a job. True, or is that false?
True.
It is true. I never actually watched Dollhouse, but I've heard good things about it. I love there are so many things about this. I actually did hear about this. Adam Scott literally had the idea on the set of whichever show he was on previously, Parks and Rec, I think. Like, literally came out with something incredibly similar, and a bunch of people have too. It's such an interesting concept that it had to be done at some point, I would say.
Yeah. No, it's like, it's been in the ether. There's other things like this. Nothing that nailed it like this.
All right. Ultimately, I think this is one of the best shows on TV right now. It's easily in my top 5. When we talk about our Mount Rushmore, that season 1 has to be in there. Has to be.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
True Detective.
It's way up there.
This.
Yes.
Game of Thrones season 6. I know you hate it.
Not for me. There's a bunch. We'll
honestly,
talk about
Game of Thrones season 1 or season 6, both fucking phenomenal.
They're good shows. I actually like all the way up to season 3, maybe the best. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for sticking with it. We do genuinely really appreciate it. DL, do you want to tell them where they can find us and wrap up the show?
Of course I do. They can find us on Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Matthew Bliss. Honestly, I think we did a good job, man. I don't know if you need to spoil this for yourself. I could be wrong. Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong.
You should have seen it by now. You've surely seen it.
I hope you have. It's a bummer if we do have to spoil this for you.
What did we spoil? I still don't know what the fuck we talked about for like an hour and a half.
To be fair, it's like so confusing if you haven't actually watched the show. Just try and blur it out. Try and just like, Charlie Brown it, and you'll be fine. If you'd like to have Matt be a part of your podcasting squad, get in touch with him at business@mbpod.com or head to mbpod.com to find out more about what he does. He's also got a podcast called Coffee with a Podcaster, short thought pieces on topics of podcasting, shared over a cup of coffee. I need another one. I've only had one.
I do not. I need food. I am very hungry right now.
Even after my 11 hours of sleep, which means I needed to catch up, to be honest. I'm tired. I need a coffee, so I'm going to go have one, and maybe I'll tune into Matt's Coffee with a Podcaster while I do it. Yeah, I don't know. Give us a review. Check us out. Do it to it.
Yeah, you can do it right there. You're listening to us.
Next week, I think we're going to get back to something that's like recent and in the theaters. I gotta go see a movie. I haven't seen a movie in a while.
Isn't this recent?
Yeah, but not in theaters. We need to go eat some popcorn. So I think that's what
I went to see Black Bag last week, and it's great. If we don't talk about it,
happy to go.
Tell you about it.
Happy to go.
But I think Sinners is out next week, and it's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. So
what day is it out?
I think it's out like the 14th or something. So
okay. We'll see.
Look, we've done wrapping up the show. Thank you guys for sticking with it. We really appreciate you. Tally ho and all that.
Tally ho and all that.
What?
What? Woo.